The Squid Game suddenly appeared in real life. The entire subway system of the city turned into independent death game levels. In the first level, glowing green tiles suddenly appeared on the floor. Anyone not standing on a green tile was torn apart by monsters. All the passengers began killing each other to survive. But Jack predicted every rule in advance because everything happening now came from a novel, and Jack was the only reader. At first, Jack was complaining about the novel's terrible ending. Then the author sent Jack a private message. If you think it's a bad ending, why don't you write one yourself? While Jack was confused, a tiny elf suddenly jumped out inside the train car. Jack recognized him immediately, the level designer from the novel. But the passengers were all in a rush to get to work, and no one cared about the elf's explanation of the rules. To establish authority, the elf shot straight through a man's head. Everyone finally went quiet. The elf issued the beginner mission to everyone. Kill one living being within 10 minutes. Succeed and earn 300 coins. Fail and end up like this man on the floor. In an instant, the train car fell into chaos. Young people swung fists at the elderly just to stay alive. Jack also unexpectedly spotted the novel's main character in another train car. He realized he knew every upcoming plot point. For example, the very next second, everyone fell as the train crashed, but Jack had already figured out how to clear the mission. The rule only said living being. It never said it had to be a human. He immediately crushed an ant. As the announcement of the first successful player echoed, Jack thought he could save everyone. But time was almost up. Passengers started violently fighting over the ant containers. One student was even beating an old man. Jack tried to trade his ant to save the old man, but the student slapped it out of his hand. This guy was just using the game as an excuse to unleash his cruelty. He turned his attacks toward Jack, but Jack, having finished the entire novel, opened the player shop. He invested all 300 coins into muscle strength. In the next moment, black smoke suddenly rose from the student's back. Only then did Jack realize the student was actually a villain from the novel. As a normal person, Jack had no chance of beating him. Luckily, a test tube full of ant eggs rolled over. Jack crushed it with all his strength. He instantly earned tens of thousands of game coins. Then, while boosting all his stats, he easily dodged every attack. As time hit 0, the brains of the failed players slowly dissolved. But since this was only the beginning of the novel, the plot wouldn't be that simple. A 100-meter water serpent began sweeping the level clean. Jack immediately ordered the strongman character from the novel to open the train door. Then he led the main group to escape. Ahead of them was the final beginner mission. The water serpent had severed the bridge on the tracks, and the train behind blocked any retreat. The passengers who died on the train turned into zombies. Jack thought his upgraded stats were strong enough, but he didn't expect to lose even to these beginner monsters. The next second, the novel's protagonist entered the scene. With one strike, he wiped out all the zombies. Jack knew the protagonist's ability was save file resurrection, but every time he revived, the original world vanished. To avoid being erased, Jack tried to make a deal using the future plot he already knew. But after hundreds of loops, the protagonist had already noticed Jack was a special person. And to verify whether Jack really could save everything, he set a test for him.